Hi there! So I made some improvements to my GPT-AutoPilot project. I added some more functions for it to run. So if we go to our gpt-functions.py, so here we have our old functions, write file, append file, read file. But I created a create directory function and a move file and a copy file function. And I created a run CMD function. So now this can actually run arbitrary terminal commands. So the reason why I added the create directory function originally was because I wanted to create a Python web application. And it uses Flask, and apparently Flask needs a folder called static to serve static files. So it wasn't able to create that project because it couldn't create that folder. But now it can do it. So I created this demos folder here in my repository. And I have a bunch of demos that I have created using this GPT-AutoPilot. So here we have this Python Docker jokes demo. And all of these files were created using this program. Even this readme.md file. So I asked it to create a readme file that has instructions on how to use this. And it actually uses Docker to run this. So let me actually run this Python app so you can see how it works. So if I cd to my demos and my Python Docker jokes, and then I run docker build t joke generator dot. And I think I have to add sudo in the beginning. And we are building the Docker file. And I actually have it cached, so that was very fast. And then we go here and we run docker run p 5000 joke generator. And again, I have to say sudo. And now we are running the service. So if we go to localhost 5000, we are going to have a tell a joke button. And if we click this, it will say, why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. And if we click it again, it says, why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. And one more, why don't some animals play cards? Because they're afraid of cheetahs. So this is just a simple demo application that it can create. Now it didn't do it first try, I have to admit. But here you can see this prompt.txt file, which has the prompt that I gave it. So if we open this raw and we zoom in a little bit, then here you can see my original prompt. So I said, create a Python plus JavaScript web application with a large button, tell a joke. When you press it, send a fetch request to an API endpoint that returns a random joke, which is shown to the user. Create the API endpoint inside the Python application and add 5 random jokes to it. The API should load the jokes from a JSON file so that the JSON file can be later edited to add or remove jokes. Create a Docker file and a docker compose.yaml file for the project so that the application can be run with docker compose upd. Add a readme.md file that describes how to run the service with Docker. So after this prompt, it created some directories and it created some files, and it didn't work the first try. So I opened it, it actually built the Docker image, that was fine, but when I opened it in the browser, I got this error. So I just pasted in the error to this chatbot, and then it asked me, in which file and on which line did you get the error? And I said, in the Chrome DevTools. And then it read the script.js, and it wrote to index.html, and then when I ran it, it opened, but then I got an error 404 from the script.js. So then it did something again, and when I then clicked the tell a joke button, I got a file not found error in the Docker console. And then it did something else again, and now it worked. But it didn't add any CSS, so it looked very ugly. So I told it to add some CSS and center everything vertically and horizontally, and it did it. And then I asked for a couple more changes because when I clicked on the button, the text moved weirdly. And then I did one more prompt, and then it created the application that you saw just there. Now, the reason why I created that run CMD function is because I wanted to create a PHP application that creates PDF files. But when I asked it to do it, it wanted to use a composer package. And of course, it couldn't install that composer package. But now it can. So let's see how this works now. So if I run GPT-AutoPilot and I say, create a PHP application that has a form that asks for a person's details and work history. After the form is submitted, create a PDF CV from the details. Ask all relevant details in the form for creating a good CV. Add CSS styles to the form so it looks nice. And I will add one more thing. I will say use the TCPDF composer package. Now the reason why I add this is because normally it will just use some random composer package. It might use TCPDF or it might use MPDF or FPDF or DOM-PDF, but I found that the TCPDF is the best one. So let's run this and let's see what happens. So we are creating some folders. We are creating src folder and src/css folder. And then we are creating an index.php. And you can see this live here. It is creating them here. And now we create a style.css and a generate_pdf.php. And then it says, ChatGPT wants to run a command. Composer require Technicom TCPDF. Now, when I created that create folder function, it gave me some problems because now it wants to create folders all the time. But then when it wants to require files from other directories, it doesn't always do it right. And when it wants to run a command, it doesn't run it from the right place. But now I added this part to the command. So this is added by me. Or in fact, if we go to the GPT functions and we look at the run CMD here, I ask for a base directory as well. And then I cd into that directory first before running the command. And here in the description that I give ChatGPT, I give it the base dir and I say the directory to change into before running the command. So now it knows that it has to change into the src folder before running it, because it puts all the files in the src folder, which is a bit weird. But so let's run this command and let's see what happens. So we got actually a vendor folder here in the src folder, and now it says that it is done. So let's see what happens if we run this. So let's cd to code and src, and let's run phps localhost 8021. And let's go here and create your CV. Why don't I get any form here? Okay, this is something it does sometimes. It adds just a comment for you have to put your stuff here. But the good thing about GPT-AutoPilot is that we can actually tell it to do something more with the project. So it doesn't just stop there. So I can say, please create the fully functioning form. So hopefully it understands that, okay, I have to actually complete the task. And we wrote something to index.php, and we wrote something to generate pdf.php. And now it is finished. So let's see if it is actually finished. So refresh and look at this. We have personal details, work history, and generate CV. So let's see if this actually works. So I will input some details here, my address, and let's put some company here and prompt engineer, and let's add a start date and an end date and various tasks. And let's click generate CV. And look at this. We have a CV which has all the information here. Now, it's not a very particularly beautiful CV, so let's see if we can do something better. Please add some headings to the CV and a place for some longer descriptions. Add some dummy description to the CV form. So let's do this. So maybe it will add some text to it so I don't have to make up the text. Now really what you could do with this is you could just say create a CV for me in PDF format, and you give it your details and it would just create it because it can run commands. So it could build a thing that just creates a PDF from your prompt. So we wrote something to index.php, so hopefully we added something here. Let's actually take a look at what is here. Description. And we had a placeholder, write a brief description about yourself. Okay, well, let's see what this looks like. So if I go back here and I refresh, then it added a description here. So that's all it did. I don't know what I should ask it to do, but let's put these details here again. And I had various tasks at this company doing all kinds of things. Write a brief description about yourself. I am a super duper good prompt engineer and you should hire me right away. And generate CV. And here we have CV. Now again, it is not the most beautiful CV in the world, but you could iterate over this more if you wanted. So I think that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to try this out, then you can go to my GitHub repository, which I will link in the description. And you can clone this on your computer and just follow the instructions here. You just export your OpenAI API key and you have to install the newest version of the OpenAI Python package and then you just run it. Now you have to have an API key that works with the GPT-4 API because this doesn't work with GPT 3.5. And it only works with the specific model which is in here. Model somewhere. It works with this GPT-4 0613 because this supports the function calling and this project uses the function calling to do this. So let me know in the comments what do you think of this project and how could it be improved. And you can in fact create a pull request if you think that you can make it better. So thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one. So let's run this and see what happened. God damn it.